Over the last few days, I got a ton of emails with a link to this 30-minute video claiming to show evidence that Sandy Hook was a hoax. It was planned. The government was involved, and people basically asking me to address it. Now, I didn't really think that it made sense to spend 10 or 15 minutes on the show debunking piece by piece what was in that video. So what we did is yesterday I put together a video that is not part of the show. It's on YouTube. You go to youtube.com/The David Pakman Show. And I basically just went through piece by piece and I said, well, here's one aspect of the conspiracy theory, which individually we can kind of rule out. Here's another aspect which we can rule out. And I speculated about the reasons why some of these conspiracies become so popular. Now, amazingly, the response to this has been crazy. The video went kind of viral overnight. It's got 50,000 views or so as of right now on YouTube. And it's funny because in reading a lot of the comments and the angry emails that I got in response to my video, a lot of the same people who are fear-mongering, they're going to take our rights away, it's a false flag, Obama's involved, it's a pretext to take away our guns, they are suffering from the same type of conspiratorial la land type of behavior that was afflicting the individuals who carried out a lot of these types of shootings. In other words, I actually see a similarity between the perpetrators in some of these incidents and the extreme conspiratorial minds that are completely wrapped up in creating these theories. And you guys feel free to comment on that.
Well, I think you're right in that they share the paranoia. That's a huge aspect of it. They share, well, that'd probably be number one.
Natan, you want to add a thought?
Yeah, I just think that there's a long history of this. I mean, the U.S. has had a ton of chaotic, horrible events in its history. And if you look at the conspiracy theories that are still talked about, like the Kennedy assassination, and I'm not going to make any claims on that, but I'm just talking about the fact that there are conspiracy theories about that, about Martin Luther King's death, about these types of crazy shootings. People have a hard time accepting that this is the country where we live, which doesn't really jive with the sort of greatest nation on earth in every category that people want to try to believe.
Yeah, I made that case in the video, Lewis, which is a lot of times it's people would feel more comfortable believing this was a planned government act than that really sometimes these things happen and we don't have control over them. It's a comfort thing to some people. That's one aspect.
Is it a comfort thing? I mean, wouldn't you be more comfortable knowing that sometimes there are just these lunatics out there? I mean, if you really think that your government is doing this,
no,
I'd say it'd have the opposite effect.
Because if you can form a narrative and convince yourself that the government does this, you can basically say, listen, it's planned. We know the government does this type of thing, and I don't need to worry about the specifics of gun legislation or whatever it may be because the government is organizing this stuff, and sometimes they will. That's what it is.
I think it depends on what you believe. If you are one of these people who, gun nuts, if you will, you might tend to, then that conspiracy theory might give you some comfort.
That's just one aspect. I agree.
I would also add, go ahead, Lewis.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, if you believe that the government is doing this for a reason, if the government is trying to, take away something.
It's a pretext to ban guns. That's the argument.
I think also what's going on is that, people don't find any way of venting their anger. So when something like this happens, people want to vent their anger, and all they see is that the perpetrator is actually a victim too. He was mentally ill. Too bad he wasn't able to get help. And this is frustrating because people want to have something to attack and to change. And so this is like the Lord of the Rings version of reality. You have a bad guy. The bad guy is the conspirators, and you can easily vent your anger on that.
The last thing I want to say on this is let's say for a second that the entire thing was a hoax. Like let's say every piece that can be easily debunked just by Googling about the conspiracy theories is true, and that also we connect the dots and say it proves that it was a conspiracy and that it was all staged. Who would benefit more from this conspiracy? The government, because they could institute gun regulation, or the gun lobby, which stands to make millions as the NRA convinces people that Obama's coming for their guns and they get a lot more members and gun sales explode. If we really want to figure out who has an impetus to create this hoax, I would argue that the gun lobby has as much or more of an impetus to create the hoax than the government does.
Right. You create fear and insecurity.
And you make millions.
Gun sales go up. Yeah.
Natan?
Yeah, and I would say that a lot of the things that gun rights advocates or what I would call nutballs say is conspiratorial by its very nature. They think that there's a group of people in power, specifically the president and other Democrats, who are planning and conspiring to take people's rights away. And this is just, hogwash.
After today's show, the show doesn't really end. There's a bonus show. And on that bonus show today, we'll be talking about, should a former porn actress be fired from her teaching job? She was fired. Do we think this is right? We'll also talk about the EPA. Basically, we have proof now, not that we needed more of it, but we do have more of it, that the EPA and the FDA are controlled by corporations and a lot more. Lewis hosts the bonus show. Sign up, davidpakman.com/membership. Support the show and listen to the bonus show. We'll be back after this.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.